Show, episode number 514. My name is John Morgan, and cold coffee is with me, and I think I just need to bring it up because I think I just realized I have not seen cold coffee since a little bit of OH. I mean, Ohio State Buckeyes. I didn't get to see you last week. It's on the road. We'll get into all that, but I figured I'd just give you a second to gloat a little bit, enjoy it. I'm sure you were a few frosty beverages in during the game.
Oh, I was deep into the buckets.
Yeah.
And it's still, it's funny because it felt good, but then towards the end it started drifting a little bit, and I was like, wait, don't let him back in.
Right.
Don't let him back in. Then I ended up pounding a few more beers, but I think I had 2 buckets.
Yeah.
Buckets worth. So
right over here, Sporting Life?
Yeah, Sporting Life.
Yeah.
So, dude, it was slammed. I got there an hour and a half before thinking like, oh, nobody's going to be here. I'll find a seat. It was packed. I found one of the last tables upstairs.
An hour and a half? I didn't even know there was an upstairs over there.
Yeah, it's like a small little room. Because, it became like the alumni watch party.
Right.
So, like, everybody got there. So everybody did what I thought, but they even went further. So I'm not sure if they got there like 2 hours before, but it was packed. I mean, there was all the OHIO cheers. They even did something that we used to do in the shoe. So think of the shoe, there's 4 sides. So one end of the bar was like, oh, and then the left side of the bar was like H, and then the back side of the bar, I, and then the other side of the bar, O, and everybody does the little symbols. Yeah, it was like what we called like the wave.
Right.
And we started doing that in the bar. I was like, dude, we've never done this here. I was like, it literally felt like we were back home. And there was people that came into town that happened to be in town that were from Ohio. So it was like, and at that point, everybody's friends. It's like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Mansfield. Oh, I'm from Akron, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what's up?
Yep.
Dude, it was dope. And then they won the game. I got the flag in the backdrop in there. I was waving it. I was getting my good time. But, yeah, no, it was great. So I give Ryan Day, he's got another year pass. I gave him a pass.
Right.
He's got we're gonna address the situation again when it comes time for Michigan. If he doesn't win against Michigan next year, then he has to deliver the national championship.
I was about to say it's either or, right? I mean, if you don't deliver Michigan, you got to at least
give me a national championship.
It's fair.
Or I was going to give him his walking papers. I was getting ready to call the athletic director and be like, hey, we need to have a talk. But I was like, okay. I'm going to give him a pass.
That's nice.
I'm going to give him a pass.
That's nice. Obviously, Ohio State University's #1 booster, of course, cold coffee, right? I mean, basically calling it. I can't imagine anybody's donating more to the program than you. I mean, if you make the call, I'm sure they just have to make the decision.
Well, I wish that was true. I do donate to the theater department every year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's good of you.
I do donate. But, I think there's some other donors that would probably have a little bit more pull with the athletic.
Maybe a couple more bucks.
They might have their name on a building. Who knows?
I mean, I guess you're going to be completely biased, but do you have a feeling about what you think? I mean, I don't really watch that much college football, right?
Yep.
I mean, obviously our Saturdays are taken up, but I know you do watch a lot of
part.
college football and you like it.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you can even have a non-biased take given that your team won, but did the playoffs work? Do you think it's a good thing?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting.
But because Ohio State won? Or?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, even I thought the level of the teams that were in it was good games, and I thought it was interesting knowing that every path along on the way was like a major bowl. So it was just cool. I found myself watching like so many bowl games where normally I would watch maybe 2 bowl games.
I watched way more than I normally do.
Yeah.
And I thought, so from that perspective, like somebody that doesn't watch that much college football, I watched a lot more because they were tied into each other, right? Whereas before it was kind of one-off, like, I don't care.
You're either going to the national championship or you're going to a bowl.
Right.
And that's it.
And so I didn't care about any of the other ones. You know what I mean? So this one, I watched a lot of the bowls because they were all tied in together.
And there's more and more bowl games than ever before. I mean, it's really crazy. Not talking about the major bowls like the orange, the peach, the sugar, all that other sort of stuff. But like, you got all these different sponsored bowls that it's really cool for other, teams that on their way up. Like UNLV won a bowl, I think, this year.
Yep.
Good for them. I mean, like, it's cool to see teams actually go. I mean, that means a lot for programs. It's money that gets thrown back in. I mean, we were just talking a little bit earlier, if you don't have money coming in to schools, you start seeing programs go away, And so Cleveland State
Wrestling.
The wrestling program's going away. And there's a GoFundMe going around to try to get money to put into a legal challenge that they're trying to do. I mean, that's not really going to – I mean – I don't know if they'll have standing to even be able to say anything about it. I'm not sure what the challenge would be, but I'm sure if they're getting the money together, they're going to certainly try to find a way to stop it. I mean, it's a shame to see any particular sport, let alone wrestling, which is closely tied to, the sport that we love, But it's tough. I mean, when it boils down to it, it's a business, and if you have money coming into those schools, it's easy for things to sort of like get passed around a little bit.
Right.
When Ohio State, their football program is the major
I mean, it funds everything.
economic driver over there.
Everything.
It funds a lot of that stuff. There's
Right.
36 varsity sports over there. Not every sport gets the same amount of varsity or scholarships, but you might get partial scholarships. But I mean, there's even scholarships, or at least partial scholarships, for like cheerleading.
Right.
Cheerleading is not a revenue driver, but if you can actually have student athletes that are able to get some financial money to help them be able to go to school and not have to worry so much about working at the same time so they can focus on their studies, that's great.
Yep.
So if you take some of that money and pass it around, it's great, but a lot of programs don't have that. So the fact that these schools are able to go to bowl games, that generate some money, that passes around. So I mean, it certainly helps. But when you ask, did I like the way the bowls played out? I did. I mean, do I like it even more because we ended up going to the national championship? I mean, there was definitely some questions. I thought Oregon, I thought we should have won the first game in this year, but being able to go in there and play them again, that was my big question. If we got through Oregon, I was like, okay, we got a chance. And we looked really, really good in Oregon. And Texas was another great game. But no, it was couldn't be happier. So
awesome,
again,
man.
Ryan Day, he's got a pass till next year. We're gonna address the situation at the Michigan game. We do not want to go 5 years in a row.
5 years in a row. That's crazy, man.
It harkens back to the back in the day. I mean, we've had stretches where it's kind of went both ways. I think there was one stretch we went like 8 from that. We won 8 in a row from them or something along those lines. But yeah, it's when people talk about we call it the granddad. Well, I think they call the Rose Bowl the granddaddy ball. But I mean, like in terms of like the biggest rivalry for us, granted we're definitely biased, but to me, I think it's one of the best college rivalries there is in history. Is, OSU and Michigan. So to us, if he didn't win the national championship, most people would still be calling for his head.
Yeah, it's gonna be time to go.
If you can't beat them 4 years in a row, I mean so to know that there's a whole class of students, seniors that came through and went and never got the gold pants. They never got the gold pants pin, and it's a point of pride. I mean, like we have friends and family, that even within the state went to Michigan. And so when all year round, we only talk shit about one game. We talk shit about it leading up to the game, and then whoever wins it has the damn bragging rights till the next year, and then we talk all about that shit the whole next year. The national champ is great. It's great. We talk about it, and we're like, oh, this is great. It's a point of pride, but we're already done talking
about it. They're
going
to be like, we still beat you.
We're already still thinking about Michigan, like we're back at it. So
that's awesome.
It is
man.
interesting to see when people are starting to say, like, they're giving the Big Ten credit, and I like that as much as yes, I love it. It's Ohio State. I like that people are giving a lot of respect to the Big Ten. And man, you look at the Big 19. I don't know how many damn schools are in there, 18 or 19. When you look at the schools that have jumped in there, it's incredible.
It is funny they haven't changed it, and I get it. Why would you change the name? Like,
Yeah,
it's a brand, you know what I mean?
brand.
But it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Well, good, man. I had to let you enjoy that a little bit. I hadn't seen you since then. Obviously, last week I was on the road with CFFC Match Day. Dude, it was straight up. It was the most road show I've had in a long time, man. And want to give another shout-out to Justin James. If for any reason you didn't listen to last week's episode and you are a normal listener, man, even though it may not be as relevant, go back and give it a listen. Justin's doing a great job, man. Justin
he's great
did a great job on the podcast. He and I worked together all week on CFFC Match Day, and I thought he did a phenomenal job. His analysis in wrestling and his passion for wrestling is awesome.
Yep.
But man, just his commentary on everything, man. He's doing a lot of. He's building his own YouTube channel and building content there and putting out stuff on Instagram and Twitter and all the things that you do as you try to build that side of it. But he's got some insight and he's got some a perspective and a point of view, and he does a really good job. And I will say this, man, he was dedicated. Like, he knew that he was with us, the CFFC Match Day crew. Granted, with us, he doesn't have as many responsibilities because he's just kind of a hired gun for coming in and coming. But so he doesn't have. But he would always just check with us and be like, "All right, man, let's have our meetings. Let's talk about what's going on." And like, do you need anything else from me? And it was like, no, we're good. Whatever. We were thinking about going to have dinner. He's like, respectfully, I'd love to, but I gotta go knock out these videos, man. I gotta get my other stuff done for my channel and all that. So
That's
it was
awesome.
like, yeah. So he was like dedicated to it, even though it was like, bro, come out, let's have dinner, frosty beverage. He's like, I will meet you guys afterwards, but I gotta get this stuff done on my channel.
He was killer on the mic, especially talking about the wrestling stuff. I mean,
good.
He flowed really, really nicely. And I mean, it was nice. It was informative. I mean, and typically when you watch a lot of wrestling, you're not hearing shit like that.
Yes.
If you're there in the building, you don't hear anything. And even if they happen to maybe live stream it, sometimes they might have a like a student,
Right.
student run sort of something, maybe giving some feedback over it. But no, I thought it was great. I mean, it really adds a whole nother element when you're watching college wrestling to actually hear the different moves that they're going through and that they're, stuff. But yeah, he flows really
the technical
well.
analysis of what he brings to the table is
Yeah.
really good, right? Whereas I know, I mean, I can help tell the story and talk about the backgrounds and what's going on. Like his analysis of what's happening, is spot on. And I mean, we haven't made an official announcement, but I guess I can say he's going to be with us next week, which is actually Oklahoma State and Little Rock. So it'll be
It's a big one.
for that one. It'll be him and Shane Sparks on the microphone. I will move into the truck for that one and work on graphics because our normal graphics, it worked out perfect. It was going to be me and Shane, and then our normal graphics guy, unfortunately, had to step out and was unavailable. And obviously, it's a big one. It's Oklahoma State versus Little Rock. I mean, Oklahoma State powerhouse. One of the traditional powers of the sport. Their debut on UFC Fight Pass. So I was like, well, look, man. I mean, Justin's been doing a good job since we're short graphics. Why don't I roll to the graphics? Justin can roll in. You still have his technical analysis, and then Shane Sparks is phenomenal doing that. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do all this. So anyway, he's back with us one more time,
That's
man,
cool.
and I know he's excited about it because again, Oklahoma State versus Little Rock. I mean, that's a big matchup.
That is, and he's still trying to throw them hands too.
He's got his bare knuckle debut. Now it's not for BKFC; it's for his organization that he works for out there in Montana. But yeah, he's
cool.
gonna throw hands, and it was funny too because we ended up watching a lot of the BKFC event out there because it was our off day. It was Saturday night. We did Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and so we were already in Columbia, Missouri. And we all just kind of piled around and pulled up the zone, and we were watching it. And but you're watching like Big Ben. How about Big Ben Rothwell? I mean, he's getting even bigger there. But bro, he's just kind of coming in like leaning to the right, just got that thing cocked and boom, one hitter quitter. But yeah, I mean, I love it. Talking to Justin, he's like, look, man, this. Not gonna lie, like this stuff gets me nervous. I love hearing guys like be honest and be, you know what I mean? Like not try to pretend. I mean, we've been around athletes enough, when they're pretending. Not so I love the fact that he's just like, I'm excited about it, but like it's got me a little nervous.
Wasn't that the same event that dude gets knocked out in like the first 3 seconds
and
or
looked
something?
like he was
looked like he was dead.
Yeah,
like that. I mean, like it's legit. And it wasn't like it was like technique. Dude just first to throw, nice big overhand, and it was just lights out. Dead. And I was like,
crazy, man. That's crazy.
You prepare so hard. You plan and you
it's
do
all
all
over.
the prep, and then it's all over before you even give a chance to blink, man.
Big event for those guys in Philly, man. Like I said, enjoyed watching Ben Rothwell. Jeremy Stevens is made for that stuff. You know what I mean? 100%. Obviously, hated to see Eddie Alvarez. He's a legend. Yeah. You could see that he was done before they called it off. I mean, he valiantly.
If it wasn't Eddie and it wasn't his toughness, he could have easily tapped out before that. I mean, because you could see that he was not having a good time in there.
100%.
But I mean, like he couldn't quit for the crowd. I mean, like he had to keep going in there, and that was in there.
That's him.
But yeah, it was rough.
He's a big. I will say this, and man, I don't want to pick on Conor McGregor, right? You know what I mean? Like obviously, you can never take away what he did for the sport, and I mean, he literally elevated the sport of mixed martial arts. But I just find it weird when he goes in there. He's like, "Come on, Jeremy, let's set a date." You know what I mean? It's like.
Yeah,
we all know this can't happen. Like, and I guess, but I mean, I don't know. I guess to the casual fan, like maybe it doesn't matter. Like maybe the average person watching, that's not the first thing that crosses their mind. I think I always try to do like remember that I'm not the typical audience member, I guess. But like when he sits there and he goes, "No, I will say this. As we were all gathered around and watching it, and maybe have a frosty beverage or two." There was a part of me that was like saying, Jeremy, just lean back over. Just no.
Just clock him.
No, at least just lean back over to him because the way they had that camera angle, he was doing the interview and you could see Conor over his shoulder, and I'm like, Jeremy, turn around and say like, "Do you know who the fuck I am now?" or something like that. You know what I mean? Or something like I thought that would have been good, and Jeremy didn't. Yeah. But then Conor got in his face, and I don't know, like. Again, I don't want to pick on him because it gets people talking and it made a spectacle and all that. But in my head, I'm just like, why are we saying set a date? Like this is never going to happen. And I don't know, just it makes me go.
Well, I mean, that's thinking too much. Most people are going to like, yes, I want to see this fight. I want to see Conor fight. They don't think about, oh, well, is he still under contract? I mean, who knows? Maybe Conor will do enough random shit that the UFC will release him. Either like we want to make money off you, you're just not worth the trouble. But we know that won't ever happen.
You think he could ever piss him off enough? They were just like,
if
fine,
they haven't already,
fine.
like he would literally, I think, have to go to jail at this point for them to let him go. He would have to do something so bad that he actually has to do time.
Yeah.
And then even then, I wonder what it would be. I think it would depend on the severity of what he did. But I think until he gets to the point where he is hands off, they don't think that they could put him in a event without getting backlash. They're going to hold on to him.
I agree.
But I mean, I don't know. I'd hate to come up with some of the scenarios because it would have to be really, really bad, and he would have to go away to jail. I think for them to finally do it, because regardless, he's still.
And it'd have to be like bad crime because if he
got
like put away for tax evasion, they're hanging on to it. You know what I mean?
We've already seen the dude was civilly, said he raped this chick, and they're like, oh, it's cool, like it's fine, it's whatever, So you wonder, okay, well, rape's not going to do it. It literally would have to be murder or death or cause. He would have to, or cause a death by an accident, like drunk, raging, driving, and hurt somebody. And then even then, I wonder. I'd hate to think about it, but yeah, I mean, until it gets to the point where he cannot make money, they'll sit on it. Until he's old as fuck, and then they're like, you're 40 some years old. No commission is going to license you.
Yep.
I think once he gets beyond that point, then there's no point in holding on to him. I would see that they would probably, because then if they couldn't do anything with him, but then at that point they would probably say, well, let's go do boxing. We'll take part. We'll let you go do boxing or something. But yeah, no, I mean it's silly. I mean he's having a good time. I mean if he's not, I'm surprised that it's got to be tough. Because Feldman, as much as they want to build this BKFC thing, and I know that Connor is helping with putting his name behind it. And when he gets out there, I mean, when he cuts a promo, dude, he still has moments of greatness.
Like at the press conferences and stuff, when he's like, the warriors of God will shine down the power of lightning and thunder upon these
did you not get excited? I was like, okay,
it is true.
I was like, I'm wondering where this is going to go, the speech, but I was like, dude, I'm literally hooked. I'm listening.
He may show up 2 hours late. But when he shows up, he's gonna bring the thunder. There is something about it, right? The energy and the passion that he brings, and just the way he orates it, like it gets you excited.
Yeah, but it's definitely got to be catch-22. They know what they're getting from him, but they also know that, man, he makes it about himself. Every time. Somebody goes out there and somebody doesn't have a great fight. You're cut, and it's like, bro, that guy's actually, we need him on the roster.
Yeah.
It's like. But it's like they want to let him do his thing. And even if they tried to reel him in, and maybe they have, I just don't think it works for him, No. So, but it is interesting to see.
We saw that monster get created at the UFC, bro. It just started getting later and later and later. So it was a big event for them, man. It really was. Like I said, it was fun.
It was good fights.
It was good fights. It was entertaining. We watched it in a hotel lobby, which was kind of fun. It was like old school barnstorming, man. This felt like
just took over the lobby.
I mean, we did, yeah. This hotel, I won't put them on blast in case I don't want to get them in trouble because I really like this place. Like I thought maybe we'd have to maybe kind of sneak some frosty beverages in or whatever, and hopefully they'd leave us alone. No, the whole lobby, like everybody was because there was a basketball game that night. And it was a big game. It was Missouri and Ole Miss. We actually got to go to it and go check out a little bit thanks to the athletic department there. But this hotel was very close to campus, and I guess basically just the after party came by the lobby afterwards, and they were cool, man. They just let everybody kind of hang out. So we just hung out and watched a little bit of it. And
I mean, think about where you guys are staying. They're probably happy to have the place booked out.
Yeah, it was fun. Man, University of Missouri, man, I would say, that's where Dan Stupp graduated from. So, he was always a big Missouri guy, of course. But I had never really spent a lot of time on campus. But, man, they have some really nice facilities there. Mizzou Arena was fantastic. Hearn Center, we were there the first night. I guess Hearn Center was actually their old basketball arena. And then when they built the new basketball arena, they gave it to, like, the wrestling team and the volleyball team and all that to do their events. And so I thought that was a nice facility. But then the second night we were in Mizzou Arena, which was incredible. So a couple of really great matches with Arizona State and West Virginia. I'll tell you a funny story with West Virginia. You talk about we actually talked about this afterwards. We're like, we're going to have to move you guys from where you are because me and Justin together are pretty loud. Like Justin's
Justin's loud, but you are enormously
So the
loud.
two of us are pretty loud together. Yeah. And the second day, we were sitting basically like right by West Virginia's coach.
Oh, no.
And then the official review was like right by us as well. So like, the officials would come take a look at, do like an instant replay, and we're just sitting there commenting like 3 feet away from the official, like, I don't know what this guy's looking at, man. Like, it's pretty clearly right here, like, what's going on. So afterwards, it was funny because, at the time, I didn't really think about it.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, they're like, we have to move you guys away from that. But it was funny because I just don't really think about it. But
especially if you said that.
Oh.
Like, this poor bastard, he's watching. He's like, oh my God, they're talking about me, aren't they? Like, they're literally talking about me doing my job.
I was like, come on, man. What's the guy looking at right here? Yeah. So they're like, we have to move you to the other side of the mat next time. And part of it, too, was like most of the schools play music in the background. Like, they kind of just keep the energy going. But I guess for whatever reason, and I didn't realize, not that I have the ability to be any more quiet anyway, but I guess they weren't playing music and I didn't know. So they were like, your guys' voices. But there was one point, West Virginia, Tim Flynn, he's the legendary coach. Both Tim Flynn and Brian Smith from Missouri both like have been in the game for like almost 30 years. But Justin is talking about something. He's actually like, I don't want to say trashing the officials, but he's like questioning one of the officials and saying how he doesn't like the decision. And Tim Flynn, the coach of West Virginia, like looks back because we're not that far away from him, like looks at him and just points at Justin and starts shaking his head. Yes, like, yeah, what he's saying right there. Yeah, it's not just me, it's him too.
Oh, wow.
And it was funny because I caught it out of the corner of my eye. And I don't know if Justin saw it or not, but I was like, that's hilarious. Like, he's hearing you going, you see? You see?
Poor refs are like, oh,
I know.
Fuck.
But
that's a good thing to take to heart. Like, be careful, like, even talking shit about a coach or something, because, like, literally, if your voice is carrying, like, you don't want to have you don't want any, organization or team be like, we maybe don't want to take part in this anymore because,
100%.
Blah, 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 blah.
Well, and it was funny because I was talking to Justin afterwards.
Fuck the refs. They fair game.
No, because I don't feel bad too. Because I know that's like the most thankless job. Like,
like
nobody's officiating wrestling because they want to get rich off of it. You know what I mean? Like they don't even. We talk about even the guys at the highest level, the Herb Deans and the old school John McCarthy's and the Mark Smiths and the Chris Tiones. Like nobody's doing that because they want to get rich. Like they do it because
they're fans of the singlets, right?
100%. Yeah, that's it. No, they do it because they have passion for the sport, right? Just like anything else. And so, like, I don't want to go too hard on them, but like I was telling Justin, I said, look, as long as you're respectful, like I think if you're not being honest, like if you're afraid to say something because you don't want to offend anybody, I'm like, you're not doing your job. Like you should be honest. Just be, it's like we've always talked about as a journalist or whatever else. Like, don't say anything you wouldn't say to somebody's face. You know what I mean? Don't be like rude. And so and again, just remember that their job is thankless. So anyway, it was a fun little week driving back and forth. We had a little caravan and it was a good time, man. So I'm looking forward to working with Justin again next week. We did I'll share one other funny road story. It's not even really a funny story, but there's have you ever heard? There's no way you've heard. There's a place called Lambert's Cafe, which is I think in Joplin, Missouri, or Branson, Missouri, or something like that. But it's known as the home of the throwed rolls, which is basically it's like this Southern style, busy, big dining rooms. Looks like it stays busy all the time. Kind of like a midpoint, like almost truck stop kind of town where you pull over when you're going through Missouri. You order food, like I ordered like a ham steak. It comes out in a skillet. It's this big.
Steak.
Oh man, it was just Southern barbecue ham steak, bro. It comes out in a skillet. But they're coming around and they got like somebody will stop by and they'll be like, I got a bowl of fried okra. You want any fried okra? And they'll just scoop you out some fried okra. They had like some potatoes or something like that. But then at some point, there's just a dude that has a bucket full of rolls, and he's like, does anybody want a roll? And if you want a roll, you just put your hand in the air. And he just picks it up and chunks it at you across the dining room. And these things, they got like some heft to them. Like you catch them and they're like pop. They got a little something.
I mean, were people missing?
Were there? I didn't see any casualties or anything, but there were definitely a couple. We saw a guy dropped one, a couple dropped. And they'll give you another one. And at that point, they're like, "Bro, come on now." Let me just sit on your table. You're terrible. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to Lambert's Cafe because I've never seen that before, and I'm sure it's a touristy place or whatever. I'm not in that part of the country very much, but. Thanks to Jason Liederfein, he knew the place. He said, "I got the spot for us on the way back for lunch."
Awesome.
It was good food too.
Steak.
Oh, barbecue ham steak was on point, dude. Just huge. Couldn't even eat the whole. I had to leave it, man. It was rough. All right, so we talked about BKFC, PFL Bellator. Did you catch a little? I mean, I guess it's just PFL now, but
Yeah,
did you catch a little bit
Bellator.
of that? Good fight, main event. I mean, really, it was all about the main
just
event.
watched the main event. Yeah, I thought it was decent.
Paul Hughes deserves a lot more credit than I think he's a lot better fighter than I thought he was. I did think Usman Nurmagomedov won the fight, but, but Paul Hughes is good, man.
It was close. It was close, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think he did enough. But I mean, and you could see it in Paul's face. I mean, I don't think he was like torn up by the decision by any means, but I mean, I thought it was good.
That was a good fight. I thought it was one of the better fights in PFL history, man. I do hope they run it back. I did see a lot of people saying that like the decision was bad, but I just at the time I didn't feel like it was controversy at all.
Whenever I hear stuff like that, I always tend to like, well, maybe I didn't watch it close. I was like, I thought it was fine, how it went, But I did have it pretty even going into that last one. But I was then at that point, it's just like fine details. I'll just trust my gut. And at the very end, I was like, yeah, I think Usman's going to get it or whatever.
I agree. Be interested to see where they go from here now. Maybe it looks like maybe you finally put the Bellator stuff behind you. You move forward and you and you move on. And
do they?
It's a big look.
He's still holding on to the title, though, right?
I think, but I don't think he puts it on the line anymore.
Yeah. So it was on the line to what this time?
I don't know. They got it. I think they're moving. They're moving.
Did they say
forward,
they were going to retire?
They're moving forward.
Yeah.
I will say. I've said it from the beginning. I still honestly believe that's their best play. I've said it from the very start. These international leagues are their best play. And I know that it may sound weird, and I've said it before. Like, I know you don't maybe want to just give up the United States, but, dude, that's where I just honestly think, like, delivering to these markets, maybe it means you don't get the love and the respect and the admiration that you wanted in the United States market where you live, which I'm sure, in the same way that the Fertittas used to beg the Las Vegas Review-Journal for coverage because they lived here and they wanted to see their organization in the paper. I'm sure Don Davis and I'm sure Pete Murray want to see their organization covered in the U.S. media. But if you're financially successful somewhere else, like, maybe you just deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to tap into those fighters and you're finding new players that the UFC isn't catching, I mean, you're getting a better chance of finding those guys outside of the U.S. as opposed to the network that's kind of already built here in the U.S. Doesn't mean they can't find somebody here and can't get somebody here, but yeah, they're certainly doing a decent job of picking up guys outside. But yeah, like you said, when it comes at the end of the day, go where the money is.
That's it.
There's a reason why the UFC stayed at the apex for as long as it did. It made sense monetarily. So, you got to do what you got to do to make the business stay afloat.
Indeed. Speaking of businesses staying afloat, I haven't gotten a chance because I was so busy. Have not seen the MMA junkie reaction to the GFL. What seems to be the general vibe over at the old
Oh, you're
haunts.
talking about the whole draft thing?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, what's going on with this draft thing? Like, weren't they supposed to have another round that they never had, like a fifth round? It just kind of dropped, and then all of a sudden, like, here's your teams or whatever. I thought it was pretty interesting, like some of the names that made the list, and it was just like, wow, I don't want to see half these people fight again. But I don't know. I guess it's interesting now that we see the teams. I mean, I guess you could start seeing some potential matchups and stuff, but it just, I don't know. There's a lot of people that I don't really care to see fight anymore.
That's definitely true. So the whole draft, well, the draft, the song, the AI, I mean, all that stuff.
They were really laying into the AI shit. I think the AI is doing like everything. It's creating graphics that are incorrect. Like, let alone just like that whole promo video, X-Men style or whatever. And I love sci-fi. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I was like, oh wait, that looks weird.
I'm sorry, it was terrible. Like, I just looked at that. I'm sorry. Like, I said it from the beginning. I've talked about it a couple times here. I don't want to be negative. Like, the more players in the space, the better for the sport. Anybody that's going out there and growing it, man. Like, I want to encourage them. And part of me thinks that, like, hey, it's smart. Like, we're not spending money yet, right? Like, we haven't had to pay a graphic design team yet. We haven't had to pay a video production
for
team.
That, but yeah,
but probably less, right?
Yeah.
A lot less than it would take to get
have
video
10
production.
Or 15 people or something on staff.
So it's not. I mean, we kind of said what they were. I mean, we didn't kind of. We nailed it from the beginning. It's like, look at what they're doing here. They're using all these athletes' names. They're only going to use 100 of them on their roster. The remaining 300 people they advertise are essentially having their likeness used to try to drum up interest in this upstart organization, and they're never going to get a chance to fight, which on the one hand, I think is a very, very smart financial decision. Like if I can find a way to partner with somebody and never have to actually pay them, I've done pretty well for myself. But it also does seem like a pretty crappy way of doing business as well. You know what I mean? And I think I think a lot of people maybe feel a little bit burned or a little bit frustrated. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm still very much of the wait and see variety on this. I don't want to totally bury them because you got to let them at least try to hold an event.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And
I
then
think
you
we
go
were
from
waiting
there.
to see like who the players are going to be because that'll certainly weigh into whether people want to even give it a watch. I think there's definitely some interest. I mean, but they also out of the potential list, I thought they did pretty good of picking viable ones out of that huge list that it was potential. I think there was a lot of people were just like, what is this even going to look like? Who are the players? What is that even going to mean? So now at least one question's been answered. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not sure if there's much been else laid out as for when they're actually going to start doing matchups, when they're actually going to have an event. I mean,
I had heard they were trying for April, which doesn't. I mean, it's not that far away.
that's not far away at all. Like, how do you
I know.
February, March, April, 3 months. Okay, 3 months out. You haven't matchmaked anybody unless they know behind the scenes. Do you have a venue booked? Do you have it rented? Do you have security? Do you have everything in place to make this work? Or are they scrambling right now? Then you're going to call everybody and say, okay, well, we got 12 weeks. Can you make it work?
It's weird, right? Because you have to coordinate everybody together. You have to coordinate all those
Yes.
people. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing we talk about with like Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby. Like how
Yeah.
difficult their job is just getting everybody to show up, and now you need everybody on a team to show up. Like that is a challenge.
Well, how many fights do you think they'll have? You think everybody from the team has to fight?
It's
on
one per weight class. So
Okay.
like they wrote. So it's one or the other has to be ready. Basically,
Yeah.
is the way they look at it. So it's again, people are. For instance, like people are going, I hate, the fact that the draft wasn't really a draft pissed me off. Well, I mean, if I reveal the names of the team one by one, you're right. It's not a draft per
Yeah.
se, but I'm just revealing one.
Yeah.
It's more fun than me just going, here's the team roster. I mean, because all the teams are owned by the league, so it was never going to be a draft. And I've seen people go,
Yeah.
well, all the Brazilians ended up on the Brazil team, and all.
Yeah.
Like, of course they did. What'd you think was going to happen?
Yeah,
So
especially when you got to coordinate schedules and travel and stuff.
So I saw people getting mad at them
Yeah.
that they're like, it wasn't even really a draft. And then same thing. I mean, like,
AI probably called it the draft. They probably could have called it something else. And
we were going to
AI
call it a
was like-
roster
we were
reveal,
gonna
and
call it
AI was
roster-
like,
it was like, no.
no, you will not call it.
We done the analysis, and we think that this is the best process out here because people will tune in thinking it's a real thing.
Okay.
And they did, and then not. And AI is like,
What if
got him.
What if, what if it turns out like the whole time they've just been talking to Allen Iverson and just like AI says we should do this, and they're like, oh, you've been running it through the machines? Like, no.
Alan
Allen
Iverson.
Iverson, bro, my man over here said, yo, we should do a draft.
Yep.
And so we did a draft. You know what I mean?
That's it.
No, but so I don't even hate him for I don't hate him for it not being a draft. It was never going to be a draft. So that's a more fun way to reveal it, right, than just
It was an
revealing.
interesting way of, yeah.
And I saw some people get pissed off. I mean, I did see that it was very unfortunate that a graphic came up that revealed all their stuff like ahead of time. That's unfortunate. But had they gone through the whole thing like round by round by round by round by round, you're talking about hours. Like even the NFL,
and it still went hours.
Still took a long time.
Still like what, almost 3 hours?
Yeah.
2 or 3 hours?
Even the NFL, and that's the biggest draft everybody pays attention. Like they only do 2 rounds,
Two
right?
rounds, and they're like,
yeah,
we're gonna take the rest.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna come back for day 2 of the GFL draft. So I don't know. I don't love everything they're doing, but I also, I'm still a little bit concerned that it's gonna happen. But I'm cheering for him, man. Like I said, the more players you can have in the marketplace, the better. So I hope they can find a way to make it happen. It's not an easy go. You know what I mean? It's certainly not easy to make it work in this landscape. So. UFC is back this week after a week away, and I think I saw a stat today. I think it's the start of like 11 straight weeks, so we're getting going. Did you guys send anybody over there? Y'all got anybody on site over there? I saw Oscar Willis is over there.
Oscar's over there.
Yeah.
He's one of the only media that I know of that's
I
over
was
there.
watching a little bit of the media day earlier today, and he was one of the only familiar faces I heard in there over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which actually, man, I'm not complaining about one bit because that means we got some early fights. It also means that CFFC gets to go on Saturday night, which is always fun for us to be able to work on the weekend. But we will go after the UFC in Philadelphia. So we'll get to all that in just a little bit. But good card. I mean, honestly, I think it's a good card. I like morning cards. I think the main card itself is solid. The prelims. I mean, Jasmine Jasnavizius and Mayra Buena Silva's on the prelims, so that's a ranked matchup there. Shamil Gaziev is there against Thomas Peterson. Khan Offley is there, who I'm happy to see, although it's a tough matchup with Muhammad Naimov. But I got to see Khan called a couple of his fights overseas before he made it to UFC. So always interested in seeing guys make their way to the top. But of course, stylistically, Sharif Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. I don't know how you can be a fan of fighting and not be excited about that matchup itself. A little surprised to see Sharif Magomedov as a minus 210 on that, to be honest with you. I might like a little MVP and some plus money in there. But it all boils down to the main event, of course, Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. And, man, I really like, I know, again, it's not the X's and O's, and obviously he's got to go out there, but watching his media day and listen to him, to me, it seems like Israel Adesanya is in a very good place, man. I feel like there was a lot of times late in his run where I don't want to say there was like a chip on his shoulder or that he felt burned out. I just felt like there was so much pressure on him to deliver more than just being a fighter. And I guess that's what you have to do to really elevate yourself to like superstar status.
Yeah.
But I guess I felt like it just got beyond, I got to come talk about it. Just, I don't know. It felt like, again, burned out, chip on the shoulder. I don't know. I just didn't sense that this week.
No, he definitely felt like more at peace with his current situation. And he felt like a guy that was, I think, at one point considered maybe even stepping away from the game. I think he was dealing with a lot of stuff. And I think he found his motivation again to get back into it. And I think he made peace with some of the stuff that was probably pushing him away from the sport. But yeah, he seemed very collected, just very calm. I mean, there's an age gap between these two. He's the more mature, wiser guy, I would think. If anything else, I think there's like I think it's what is it not? It's not 10 years. It's like 8 years or something.
Is it that much? I didn't even know it was that much.
I think it
scares you how much Adesanya it creeps up. I mean, it's not like he came to the UFC as a young fighter,
but
right?
He's not young anymore. Like Izzy's 35. Okay, right. So it's 35 and I think it's 35 and 28.
I didn't realize
Nasruddin's 28, yeah. So it's a 7-year difference.
I'll be honest with you, man. I didn't realize Nasruddin was that young.
I didn't either. I thought he was in his 30s, and I saw that, and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
So, granted. But when I saw the 35, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is a guy that, has been through stuff. And I think that's why there was also some of that drive that made Izzy get to where he was, because I think he was a man on a mission because he realized he'd switched over into MMA from what he was doing before and then wanted to make a big splash, and then he was able to push himself up there and then losing that and then sort of getting the hate and just going from a guy that was like well beloved to almost like having doubt from the fans. And I think he just got to a point he was like, why am I doing this? I think as much as we know that they want to do this for themselves and for their family and you could provide this stuff, Izzy, I mean, I think enjoyed being the guy, doesn't have like a family that I know of that he has to be outside of his parents and whatever. He doesn't have a family that he's providing for. He's a guy that's just
like wife and kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he's enjoying his life. Him and his boys go out and he has a great time, So when he sort of took that drop, I think it just kind of like he's like, man, he was enjoying, but I think he was just like, what the fuck am I doing this for?
That's what it felt like. That's honestly what it felt like
why
to me.
Why am I doing this?
Like, I loved that one speech he had that one time where he's like, man, I hope all of you just one time in your life can feel as happy as I do right now. Like, don't let anybody hold you down. Go out and do it. Like, I love that.
Yep.
But yeah, during some of his later fights, man, I really just felt like he was annoyed that he had to deal with us, and just like he did, like it just felt like what's my motivation? Why am I here? I don't know.
And I think it was that drive and that his love for the sport and that drive that made him so good that he was just wearing his heart on his shoulder, right on his chest.
Yeah,
you could literally see everything. Everything was fresh and raw and open. And I think he was just dealing with those emotions, and I think it took a while for him to sort of just collect himself and get back to a place where he was just calm. And now we're seeing that he just looks like he's found peace with what his situation, and he wants to have a good run, before the end. I mean, like, I don't envision we're going to see Izzy for 2 or 3 more years.
I don't either.
I think he wants to get some good fights, and if things go his way, he'll stick around a little bit longer. But he wants to get some big fights. I think he wants to make another run for the title, get a shot at it again. And if that doesn't work out for him, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes more of a back seat.
Yeah.
And starts to get there. And I think what we're seeing, like from what we see Izzy did, this is a guy that I think has made peace with that. And I think that's what we're seeing. Same thing when you saw like guys like Cub and all these other guys that see the end of the road for one reason or another, and then when they find peace with it, because I think it's the ones that can't let go that they're like, they'll take a down fight or whatever, but I'll be back. I'm not done yet. I'm not done. You're just like, bro, stop. Like, not that we feel it from this, but when you see these guys that have a sense of calm and peace, I feel happy for them, because I feel like you're in a good spot. So like if things don't go your way, I feel like you could leave and you'll be fine with that decision.
Yep.
And you'll be happy with it. And if that's the case, why leave these lasting memories of you arguing with the media, or you let some fucking troll on the internet get to you? Like, I think now he's just back to like, y'all can't touch me. I'm with me and myself, my friends, the people that matter to me. I'm at peace with all that. They got my back. I don't need y'all for this. But at the same sense, I'm not going to feed the trolls. I'm just going to come here, do what I'm doing. I'm just going to do it the best of my ability. And if it doesn't go my way, I'll be happy. And if it goes my way, cool. I'll go on to the next one,
He said something kind of interesting today, that he was like, the middleweight division is not interesting without me. And I was like, I disagree with you there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting personalities and styles. But
it's certainly more interesting with him in it.
100%. That's exactly what that's exactly what I thought. I was like, no, I disagree. It's not like you're the only one making that division. It is interesting, but I do like you being in it.
It's better with him in it. It's better with him in it than not in it, for sure. He brings up exciting matchups, and you know what you're going to get from an Izzy fight. It's going to be fun. Like even the fight week, it's always good. You never know, what you're going to get a lot of times when you have a matchup. You don't know if somebody's going to take the role to be the A side in a matchup and really help sell. But when you get Izzy on there, he's going to help carry the show. He's going to bring some interest with it. And when Izzy is on, man, it's a thing of beauty, man. When he gets in his little flow state and his striking is moving, his head movement, and they can't take him down, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I mean, there's a reason why the guy was able to be a world champion in multiple disciplines. I mean, the guy's legit. So yeah, when he gets it going, man, it's beautiful to see, and I hope we see that. Nasruddin is a tough matchup for him. He has the ability to kind of crowd Izzy and not give him that space. I kind of to me, it's a different version of like what Strickland does. Strickland, without even like looking like he's going forward, he just walks forward and he's in your face, you know, because he's not like really steaming forward at you. You just kind of got that shoulder in your face before you know it. He's right there in you. Nasruddin's going to be much more driving forward, I think. So I think he's just going to have to keep that distance closed if he wants to have his way. But Izzy's got to find a way to stay separate between the two if he's going to be able to use those long ranges. And knowing Nasruddin walking in, I mean, there's every chance he's just going to walk into a shot, and that would be the shot that we know Izzy's got the power if he lands a perfect shot. And that's the thing. He may not be the most powerful guy, but when you see what he did to Alex Bahia, I mean, it was just precision. It wasn't even like a full, like he threw everything behind. It was just precision, and it knocked him the F out, or knocked him down, whatever. So it's amazing. I mean,
who'd you roll with here?
As much as I just said,
you went with Nasruddin?
I went with Nasruddin.
It's interesting, man. I'm so intrigued by this one because I do think first of all, I think Nasruddin is one of the guys that everybody just kind of writes off. You know what I mean? He's not a big talker. You know what I mean? He's a French Dagestani dude. Like, how does he connect with the American audience? He's had some setbacks. He's had some stumbles. But I agree, he's got the ability to win this fight. And I think that if Israel is championship level, executing perfectly Israel, the last stylebender Adesanya, he wins the fight. But if he's just a little bit off that, there's that changing of the guard, right? And as you said, he's got the style to cause problems.
He's got the style, and he's got. I mean, 7 years is not the end of the world, big difference, but he does have youth on his side as well. I mean,
and Izzy's been through a lot of fights. A lot of fights, and
that stuff it matters.
If the motivation's not there, you know what I mean. It seems, like I said, it seems like, at least by what I saw today, just judging, it just seems like he's fighting free, and I think that means a lot. You know what I mean? And if he can go out there and just do what he does, I did see somebody was asking him like, "Oh, what about grappling?" He's like, "I can wrestle a little bit too." You know what I mean? So I don't know.
That's why a lot of people don't take him down because he's got great defense.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's not that easy.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that one. Shara and MVP.
Shara. Even though I mean, like, I think he's a decent sized favorite. I don't think it's anything crazy, but no, I mean,
minus 200.
I mean,
not crazy, but a decent size for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, he's got some decent hands, but he's another guy. He likes to get a hold of them. You know, if he can get a hold of MVP, I think he'll pose problems for MVP if he can get a hold onto him.
Looking at the lines on this, it looked like they opened it basically a
pick'em,
basically a pick'em, and it got bet down like
interesting.
Like it got bet down like instantly.
Yeah.
Like the line is like vertical.
Is it?
That's crazy, man. Like it's not like overtime on the graph.
Yeah.
Like people were like, "Whoa, all day."
Yeah. I mean, MVP's MVP, man. He can pull out some, spectacular stuff. I mean, he's always capable of it.
It's good matchmaking, right? Because I say this every time on the and a half episodes. I feel so bad because I feel like I should be more sold on Shara Bullet than I am. Like,
his last performance wasn't. Was it the last one he did? He wasn't the one. Is either his last performance or the one before that? I don't think was like. I think.
Well, last one was the double spinning back fist knockout. But you mean the decision against Oleg Sejchuk where he didn't really.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
the one where everybody was like, "Man, I'm not so sure about this guy."
I'll be honest with you. I'm totally in for. Anytime he fights,
that double spinning back fist.
That's so crazy.
I felt like they just had to name something. They're bro, you could just call it spinning back fist. I mean, he threw it in succession, but
that is true. It's not like he threw both of them.
It's not like it wasn't like it was like pa or something.
Just all the way around, just two shots in a row.
He just continued spinning.
Just a 720 spin. Like that would be now. See, that would be a double spinning back fist. Like if you literally did
jumped in the air and spun around twice and hit it. Like if it was one solid movement. But it was just like
it was went one and then you went the other. Yeah, you're so right? Like if you did like a spinning back kick and you spin the other way, nobody'd call it like a double spinning back kick. But anyway,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's funny.
But I felt like that's really when they're trying to sell somebody or trying to push something like
it was. But we haven't seen a lot of it. It was cool.
Still.
So here's the thing I always say about is that I am completely sold on him being entertaining, and then obviously you bring in the look and the everything else. Like it's wild.
And this part of the world, I mean, like.
Perfect.
It's perfect for him.
Like, do you have?
It's the only place he can fight.
Do you have any aspirations that he'll be a champion ever?
No, because I think you run in the issue when it comes to. Somebody brought this up the other day when it comes to his eyes.
Yeah.
Like what?
That's just a practical side. I just mean even like.
But I'm just saying, you need your champ needs to fight all around.
Yeah.
If your champ can't fight outside of that region.
100%. No,
that sucks.
You're 100% right there.
But does he have the skills? Of course.
You think he can be a champ?
I think he has. If you give him the right matchups, for sure.
Well,
but I think that's anybody.
The right matchups.
That's like anybody. If you get the right matchups and it just works out, you'll see somebody get the fucking title.
Right.
But
I think you'd have to massage his way to the title. I think he will run into some people.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. And I would think, but if the question was like, would the UFC be happy if he was a champion?
Oh,
maybe in that region, he's too hard. It's too hard to get him booked. And if you can't fight anywhere else, like if you try to bring him to Vegas to fight at T-Mobile, there's no guarantee the commission lets them medically pass.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
So that's tough. So I would see what the UFC's like. Well, we know we need him for that region. I mean, there's a reason why he's so high up on this card. I mean, they absolutely love the dude, and he's a good fighter. He's a killer.
He's fun.
Like the fact of what he's able to do, knowing that he's practically blind in one eye. It's like it's amazing.
I don't think you're shocking anybody there.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't know if I don't think he can see out of that thing.
I don't think he can see out of that eye. The ref keeps telling him to look at his finger, and the other guy's whispering how many fingers.
This guy's like tapping him on there, like 1, 2, 1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah.
Sergey Pavlovich and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Obviously, that should probably not last very long.
Yeah. Who are you taking in that one?
I'll take Sergey in that one. That dude's a monster. Site number, we got Vinicius Oliveira. Is that on the main card? I'm not looking on
Yeah.
UFC.com. I want to make sure I've got the right bout order here.
I know, because for a second I was thinking the Tapology one was a little bit older, but yeah, I think that's a good fight.
That's a good fight.
I think I went to Vinicius.
I like Vinicius now.
Most people on the staff, I think, went to Saeed.
I like Vinicius.
Yeah,
now,
I think that's if he's an underdog, that's the play. You want to put a little money on that one. I think that's the one.
Mike Davis is back there as well, man.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, I think I went Ziam first.
Yep.
Ziam.
What's the plan?
But I think Davis is the.
He's fun to watch.
Legit.
6 a.m. start here in Las Vegas. What's the plan? Are you up for moment one? Well, there's nobody there, right? So
there's
you
nobody
guys,
there. Yeah. So
you don't have to.
I don't think I have to do. I don't think I'm off. Now you mention it.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching them probably because I'm ridiculous like that.
Oh,
even if it's my day off. I'm not one that likes to get like spoilers from like.
I know.
And it's a Saturday morning, right? So it's like I'll literally just get up and watch in bed or something like that.
Right.
You know? But I hate trying to I'm not good about not getting spoilers from anything else. I'd rather just wake up, watch them, and then go back to sleep. But yeah, it starts 6 a.m.
6 a.m. I'll actually be on the East Coast.
But yeah, I am off. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
Jasmine Divizia saw coming through the CFFC against Mara Bueno Silva. That's a big fight there. She did.
I think I picked Jazz on that one.
She did her camp. Oh, I like that. She's
tough. She really impressed me her last fight.
Better
man.
and better,
she really impressed me. I didn't pick her, and she looked so good. I was like, okay, I'm going back to picking her.
She's getting better.
I remember she was like,
better.
I'm going to be the Canadian GSP. That kind of sounded like for a second in my head.
That was a little bit. She's got that I don't know what it's like a little country Canadian twang.
She's something, man. She is a killer, man. Her energy, man. She is infectious. I think she's a hell of a fighter. But yeah, that last fight, I was like, okay, I'm riding with you. And I mean, MBS, man. You either love her or you hate her. She is very strong.
Yeah.
in herself and what fight she should be in.
You're so right about that. I don't know how to say this because I don't want to say she's being fake because she's not.
No.
But she knows she has limited language in her second language, which is fine. But she just plays the hell out of it, right? Like
she likes playing the heel.
That's it. She's throwing that sass. She's
Who
throwing
wants to watch that fight? Julia Pena and anyone else.
You want to watch
that? You want to watch that? I'm like, yeah.
Great.
No, you don't. I'm like, okay, you're right.
I think she's hilarious.
Her energy is she's incredible.
But you're right, and I think some people hate it, but it's like, dude, she is literally just I'm stirring the pot. I'm having some fun, and I think she does a great job, man.
Yeah,
I think she does fun. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a good card. I will be watching it from out in Philadelphia. We do, as I said, because they're going early that night. We have CFFC 139. So if you get done with the UFC on Saturday morning and you want to keep watching a little bit more MMA at night, check out CFFC 139. You'll be happy to hear, Cole Coffee, that Geena Lucille is back with me in the booth. CM Punk is in the Royal Rumble the same night. So
good for him.
Yeah, so maybe I can have like a split screen open or whatever, see if he's throwing fools over the top rope. And man, WrestleMania is coming up close.
Can we get an ISO cam on old Geena? Can we just get a camera? Can we get Fight Pass to just give us a little camera that we can just open up as one of the options?
I will ask the production team, see what we can do about that.
She's not hard to listen to or look at.
She will be in the
She does
booth
a great job, though.
Yep.
She is really good. And it, just as a bonus, she is absolutely gorgeous. But, yeah, she kills it. I remember when the first time I was, before I even turned, I was like, who's this woman that's calling with John? And I was like, she is sharp. And then I opened it up, and I was like, holy cow, I'm a fan of this girl. Yeah, she kills it, man. They do a really good job of bringing staff on.
As a coworker, I clearly just evaluate her for her production
100%.
skills, and she does a fantastic job as well. She'll be
great skills.
So we'll have her on the mic. Bilal Hassan is here against Brian Hauser. Quick preview: Bilal Hassan. He's been on the top of our short list. He's our undefeated flyweight champ. If you've seen CFFC at all, you probably know the guy. He has got incredible skills. Last year, he had like a knockout of the year candidate and a submission of the year candidate. The dude is 23 years old. He's slick. Brian Hauser, new to our organization, but former collegiate wrestler. So he wrestled for years and years and years, and has honestly just had withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal of opponent over the years. So he hasn't been able to rack up much of a record. But his only losses as a pro and as an amateur were via split decision. He's got a lot of finishes. He just hasn't been able to get fights. People pull out of the fights with him. So in the meantime, he's been staying busy. He just won a title at the IBJJF No-Gi Worlds. He's been working on striking. So it could be an interesting stylistic matchup. Like I said, he comes from a wrestling background. So, really looking forward to that main event. That should be a fantastic main event. And it's at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, which is always an electric atmosphere, man. It's old school ECW arena in there. It's tight. It's you got like the concrete walls with the metal siding in places, so the sound just like bounces off. Oh, dude, it gets so loud in there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, looking forward to that one. So I take the flight out Red Eye on Thursday night. We'll have the weigh-ins on Friday. We'll call the fights on Saturday. So as I was talking off air a little bit to my man Cold Coffee, there's no way I can do an 1.5 episode. So we'll have a little pivot there, maybe a little Cold Coffee 1.5, or we'll see what happens over there.
And the 1/2, like what's half of a half?
and a quarter.
And a quarter. So we'll see. I'll try to put something together, or maybe we'll look at eventually repivoting, because I know your schedule's getting busy, and I've suggested that even if we did something on some Mondays or something, but if anything, maybe I'll try to put something out this week and just get something. But
we may have some
I gotta watch
changes
all the
in over
fights.
there. Well, sir, welcome to Saturdays.
You love fights.
I love fights, man. Yeah, there is. Hopefully. Well, we'll just leave that. Yeah, we might have some changes coming in the real soon, so we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, we do appreciate everybody that has always supported us over at patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow. Somehow, some way, we'll find a way to add some extra value for you. Take care of us.
I think I finally got the 1.5. Oh, and
I
appreciate everybody that's reached out on the Patreon, man. They keep making stupid channel. They keep changing shit on the platform.
Right.
So I think I finally got the 1.5s to finally get set out. Finally, even after keep trying everything, I heard that finally went out. But the old process of embedding the short code or whatever from Audio Boom into the site now doesn't work. It used to put the player. Now it puts some stupid, what looks like a video thing, and it's just a graphic that doesn't move. So now it's just like embedding a link, which takes you over to Audio Boom. So it's not the same way. So I'm not sure what the listening.
So then that's my fault, because I'm logged in as an administrator, it looks like it works. But if you're logged in as a user, it doesn't work.
Yeah, when you first place the link, it looks like it works, and then when you go back to it, it doesn't.
Interesting.
But
sorry.
The thing, that's not you. That's not on the 1.5. I'm talking about like the main episodes.
Oh, even those aren't working.
The main episodes.
Oh
the embeds don't work anymore like they used to. So if you go back hundreds
just dead links
of episodes, like this stupid dead link thing right now. So now you have to put it as a link, so it'll look like you'll see it, and it looks like what used to be the player, but it won't play, and it'll just take you to Audio Boom.
Bastards.
I don't know what they keep fucking doing. It's like, just stop messing with the platform. Like, it's been fine for years. Like, leave it alone.
Leave it as is.
So I apologize, and thank you for those that reach out and tell me when something like that happens, because I didn't realize that Patreon went and broke the regular one. So tonight I'll probably just do like what I did for the last episode, which is just post the link, which sends you over to Audio Boom. As long as you guys are getting what you need to, you should be able to now hopefully have your Patreon RSS feed give you the 1.5s to your podcast. And if you're subscribed to the Audio Boom RSS, you'll always get it there. I'm not sure how now Patreon RSS feed does with those links that don't embed the actual thing anymore. So it might not be. If you only get the 1.5s now, it means you'll have to subscribe to the other one or something. I don't know. It's just a pain in the butt. I just wish they would stop messing with the platform. And then there's always like a little thing on the site saying, "We're making updates. We hope you enjoy it." I'm like, "You're breaking updates. Like, you're literally killing me, bro.
Stop making updates."
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
We just apparently podcasts. It was made for booty pics and shit like that, not podcasts on the Patreon. I don't know.
Well.
And I mean, I guess what I can try to do, which I haven't done, is just because I don't know what the storage limits is, just uploading it separate directly to Patreon instead of embedding the link. And we've always done the embed a link, and that used to work. Now, if that's broken, the only other way to make it work is if I just upload it. Then we have to. Then there might be an issue with like the numbering. I'm not sure if I have to, because right now we just use the numbering for the 1.5s or whatever. because we never had to put the number or whatever. So that might I just don't want the systems to get confused. What's listed as one thing on one thing and another thing on another thing.
These are
But
things we deal with.
yeah. If you guys want, if it's an issue, if it is an issue dealing with the way the Patreon, like if you're only subscribed to the Patreon feed and not the audio boom, and you're not getting your podcasts and how it should be or how it used to, I'll just start uploading directly, and then we'll figure out what we have to do after. I just don't know what our storage limit is on Patreon.
Well, expect some tweaks moving forward, but we will
We'll get it
still be
together.
here. We're
That's the
coming
long
up on
technical
10
update.
years.
I
It's
know.
coming up on 10 years.
10 years.
Quick shout out to the Dark Side of the Cage folks as well. That series is going on Vice TV. You might not know you have Vice TV, but you do. So if you want some nice mixed martial arts program, looking for something different, check that out. This week's season is on The Ultimate Fighter. I checked out a screener of it. It's good. Again, same thing. It's like I'm reminded that a lot of it's going to be stuff that if you've lived through it, you probably know most of it.
Yep.
There was one fact that was funny about
And that has Crockett and Tubbs on it, right?
what?
Crockett and Tubbs.
That would be Miami Vice. That is not Vice TV. So Crockett and Tubbs. That one took me a second. I was like, oh yeah, Miami Vice. Too funny. Oh, dude, you know what's so funny? Speaking of, this just reminded me because talking about Miami Vice made me feel old.
Yeah. It was from quite some time ago.
It was kind of cool, man. This past week, we got to do a show in Little Rock. By the way, the Little Rock wrestling team, if you don't know the school story, 6 years ago they didn't even have a team,
Wow.
and now they're ranked in the nation. Like
That's
they put the
killer.
squad together. But I was going through the photos, so it was Little Rock versus Oregon State. I was going through and editing photos to get the production ready, and I didn't realize. Like I just looked. I'm like, I see. I'm going through the roster because I'm editing for the production, and I see a guy. I was like, that has to be Chris Brennan's kid. And because it looks literally just like him, the UFC pioneer, and it is his son Tyler Brennan wrestles for him. So it's funny. I was like, "That's hilarious." And we were kind of we were on the road trip, and I was like, "Man, like I was trying to like, man, what were some of they were like, well, what were some of Chris Brennan's best fights like back in the day?" I was like, "Let me pull up it." I had totally forgotten the first UFC I ever went to, UFC 16. He was on there in a 4-man tournament, and he got to the finals against Pat Miletich, and he lost. But he fought Pat Miletich that night. So we put together a little package on the broadcast of here's Chris Brennan, MMA pioneer, and he fought at UFC, he fought in Pride, and it was like, oh, you may be wondering like why we're telling you about this.
Yeah.
Well, and then we went to a picture that we took on Instagram of him and his son together, right? And then it was like, and oh, by the way, this was John Morgan's first, like this was my first ever fight.
Wow.
So we like that little picture that you see on Fight Pass. So we showed that. So it was pretty cool, but so it was kind of fun to put that together, like the connection. But it was really nice. Chris reached out afterwards and was like, "Dude, that was so cool." He's like, my family loves seeing that.
That's
you know what
awesome.
I mean? He's like, I haven't missed one of my son's wrestling meets in 6 years. I've come he travels back and forth from Dallas to Little Rock.
Wow.
So he was
That's
so
cool.
proud to see us. That was cool. And you know what else was funny is I was so bummed because he didn't make the trip. But Trey Munoz is Mark Munoz's son, and he's an All-American, and he wrestles for Oregon State, but he'd been dealing with injuries, so he didn't make the trip. So I was really hoping to see Trey Munoz compete as well. But that's kind of cool, man. Like
That's
seeing
really
these guys,
cool.
like the sons of these guys that we covered their careers, that we knew from there, like
Making you feel old now.
making me feel old. I'm like, dude. So think about that, man. It was because I went March 1998 was UFC 16. And then, of course, this wrestling meet was January 2025. So you're talking about almost 27 years between attending my first UFC event and now I'm commentating on his son wrestling, dude. It's crazy, man.
And then someday down the line, you'll be commenting on Bellamir's kid entering into the sport.
Oh, my God. Why did you just say that?
Because it literally will.
It's gonna happen.
It can happen.
It's
like,
gonna happen. Like
when
I
you
remember,
think about that.
like a
remember
lot
when
of
she
a
was
lot
like
of people
this.
know Bellamir. Yeah, right. A lot of people know Bellamir as this former UFC champion.
Yeah.
I remember the little one's grandfather.
It's crazy.
Oh,
it's crazy
my
thing.
God.
But that's. I mean, I guess that's the beauty of the sport being around so long, but being involved in the sports now, you're seeing generations.
Yeah.
The generation changes, which is just crazy. But I mean, she's definitely one of the first of that situation where it's like her dad was like literally a pioneer, and then watching her be the little kid running around, and now she's coming into her own. and it could be 10 years or so when she starts having
10,
kids or
15
whatever.
Years, who knows?
And then another.
But you're so
15
right.
years.
It's gonna happen. It's so right.
25 years
As if
from
I
now.
wasn't depressed enough. Thanks, bro. You just made it even worse for me. But yeah, pretty cool. It was
It's
fun
cool.
though. But you know what's fun is I like being able to like put that connection on the broadcast and like help tell the story.
And look what it
stuff
meant
like
to
that.
him for him to reach out. Like, that's so cool. For somebody to think that maybe, do people remember? You know, because when that time was happening, of course, it was huge. And they were, you know, people were talking about it, whatever. But then as time moves on, they often wonder. Remember the UFC used to have that great show, Where Are They Now?
Yeah,
you know?
I love
what
that.
was cool about that was just touching base and seeing where they are.
Yep.
But for him to actually see that thrown up on something that wasn't even related to MMA or
Yeah.
whatever, that just had to be amazing for him.
I was
he
happy
loved
to
it.
hear it made him happy, and I definitely
Yeah.
want to do more of that
That's
as we
cool.
can, because I thought it was cool. Like, it was funny. We were talking about like putting together like with Oklahoma State. My God, we could tell so many stories on that. There's so many guys that have come through Oklahoma State.
It's a big program.
Yeah, big program. So anyway, all right, listen. Time for me to go. I got to go take care of a couple things, spend some time with the young one, and then heading out to Philadelphia tomorrow. So everybody enjoy the UFC over in Saudi Arabia. Please tune into CFFC at night as well. Maybe if you can watch a little Royal Rumble as well, give CM Punk some love. And then if you're over at patreon.com, check out the and a half with Cole, and a quarter with Cold Coffee over there.
It'd be the shortest and a half ever. So we're going to call it and a quarter. I'm like, hey, y'all watch those fights? Me too. Thanks for listening. There's your preview.
Love it. Yeah, get ready. No, you'll do better. I have no doubt. But anyway, enjoy that. Enjoy everything that's going on. I got to go. Thanks for listening.
We'll be right back.